Good evening, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here is your second detailed forecast update on the rainfall event and rainfall system that's expected to lash North Queensland with intense falls up to 1,500mm over the next 5 days. A very detailed outlook at this system here. We're going to be answering all things rainfall accumulations, rainfall direction, showers, what rainfall is expected, and the flooding risk across North Queensland. So stick around to the end of the forecast update, and I promise you that I'll have all of your questions answered. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing, but let's get stuck straight into things this afternoon with a current look at the radar imagery with plenty of showers and storms now streaming ashore across the central Queensland and into the North Queensland coastline. Townsville currently being inundated with some heavy falls at this time. They should ease off by the time this video comes out, but have a look at the rainfall offshore. This is the stuff that we're concerned about. This is the stuff that's building right now. It's sliding a little bit further offshore at this time as this low pressure system begins to wrap itself up and drag more moisture in, but once this gets itself closer to the coastline, it will be go time tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon, with heavy falls expected from those time points. Showers and storms expected to continue across the Whitsundays, extending north into the central and then into the North Queensland coastline as far north as the Cassowary coast throughout the remainder of today and tonight. We're expecting those falls to be heavy at times, with isolated falls up to 200mm expected over the next 24 hours before the real rainfall kicks itself into Townsville. Let's get stuck straight into the rainfall forecast. There has been a dramatic shift on the rainfall forecast since yesterday, but it doesn't change the outcome too much, so I don't want people to be panicking as the rainfall has changed, because it isn't going to be changing the flooding impacts too much, and I'll get to why that is in just a few minutes. But taking a look at the current picture of the forecast, you can see the low pressure system just offshore from the Cassowary coast at this time. It's expected to continue to wrap itself up throughout the remainder of today, driving ashore those heavy showers to locally intense rainfall bands moving into the Proserpine area through the Whitsundays and then further north into the central Queensland coastline. So throughout the remainder of this afternoon and evening, we're expecting this rainfall to continue piping up along the central Queensland coastline before entering the Townsville area. We're at quite a heavy rate expected to be later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. We're expecting the rainfall to really pick up from in the Townsville area from about 10 p.m. tonight, and it will continue right through tonight into early tomorrow morning, intense at times as we wake up on Saturday in the Townsville area. We could be seeing rainfall rates averaging 30 to 60mm an hour, with peak rates from showers around the Whitsundays expected to be up to about 80mm an hour, and we could be waking up to rainfall accumulations to the 9 a.m. tomorrow around the Townsville area approaching 100 to 150mm, but that pales in comparison to the rainfall that's expected to move through on Saturday. As this low pressure system drags itself further ashore, you can see that the rainfall is just going to be driving in from the northeast from the Coral Sea, and we're expecting just a thick band, a thick line of intense falls to be streaming ashore where I'm circling the cursor right now. Between Cardwell down to Bowen, with the intense, or the most intense falls between Cardwell down to Townsville, and we're expecting this line of intense rainfall to continue through Saturday. But just take a look at this, it doesn't stop Saturday night. This is into Sunday morning when the rainfall will be at its most intense around the Townsville area, through Townsville on at Sunday morning and into Sunday afternoon, slowly moving further towards the south through Townsville through Sunday evening when the rainfall will be at its most intense for the Townsville area. But these heavy falls continuing around the Cardwell area right down to Bowen through Sunday night, and again intense falls expected to pick up again in the Townsville area through Monday, and then the rainfall finally easing off out of the Townsville area by Tuesday morning. Intense falls possible right up towards then though. But you just had a look at this, we didn't go through a day of rainfall, we went through 4 days of rainfall in that picture there, and you can see it hardly moved. It didn't budge between Townsville and Cardwell, and that is what we're expecting here. We're expecting just a highway of rainfall, basically a river of rainfall, to get itself over this part of Queensland and to be wrung dry by the mountains adjacent to the coastline, and that's going to cause some devastating flooding in these areas. I'll crack into the details of that in just a few moments. I just want to give a more brief and a more broad overview of the forecast in the next couple of moments. So you can also see, you might have been able to notice if you're looking down into the central areas of Queensland, expecting those heavy falls to continue throughout the remainder of today. The majority of that's going to be coming through from showers and storms. Showers and storms expected to continue for tomorrow, with heavy falls expected around the Proserpine area throughout the remainder of this weekend, Saturday night into Sunday morning, with isolated heavy falls making their way up through the Bowen and the area. You can see heavy falls also possible as we get further inland out towards Ravenswood and Charters Towers. We could be seeing falls there averaging 20 to 40mm an hour sustained right through tomorrow and Sunday, before the rainfall around the Charters Towers area steadily eases off through Monday morning and into Monday afternoon, and it becomes pretty much exclusively coastal based and just over the coast across the coastline from about Monday afternoon onwards. Still though, heavy falls expected through Tuesday and Wednesday for the Whitsundays, and you can see the rainfall doesn't clear out of the Whitsundays until about Thursday. And then for the Cassowary coast in North Queensland, you can see between Cairns and Cardwell expecting heavy showers to continue materialising throughout the remainder of today. Heavy showers and storms along the coastline expected south of Innisfail throughout tomorrow and into Sunday, and you can see those heavy falls expected south of Tully through Cardwell and Ingham from Saturday afternoon onwards, with heavy falls along the coastline persisting through Sunday and into Monday. Isolated heavy showers and storms expected further north up to the Cairns area, with driving rainfall expected to move into the Cairns area through Monday and into Tuesday. There is so much going on with this forecast here, but it's all going to be happening over such a long period of time. This is a highly unusual rainfall event here. Far North Queensland is no stranger to getting a day where just rainfall is driven ashore by a low pressure system and just sucked ashore and wrung dry through the mountains. They are absolutely no stranger to a day or two of that stuff here. But 4 days of driving rainfall, the last time that happened was Cyclone Jasper in late 2023, and then before that it's a very rare occurrence. It happens basically once in a decade, and it is a testament to how warm the waters are currently offshore from North Queensland at this time. This is a bumper setup for rainfall here, but unfortunately it is just too much rainfall for North Queensland along the North Queensland coastline. I know Townsville has struggled with rainfall so far this wet season. That is absolutely not going to be the case over the next week or so. Let's jump straight into those rainfall accumulations right now. I'm going to go through section by section, day by day, hour by hour, pretty much, and we're going to start off in North Queensland. So over the next week or so, nothing too crazy in the rainfall is expected up there. We're still looking at about 200 millimeters around the Cairns area, and like I said, a lot of that coming through from driving showers and storms throughout Sunday and Monday. The rainfall will pick up once you get down towards Innisfail and for locations further south of that. I know a couple of days ago we were saying numbers like 700 or 800 millimeters around Innisfail, but right now I think a pretty safe bet for Innisfail will be around that 300 millimeters. South of Innisfail down towards South Mission Beach and Tully, 350 to 450 millimeters can be expected, and it's going to be locations south of Cardwell and Hinchbrook Island where that rainfall is really going to pick up. The mountains just towards the south and the southeast of Cardwell extending across to Lucinda, I'm expecting spot falls in those around 1,000 millimeters or so. Widespread accumulation south of Cardwell, including Cardwell, will be between 500 and 700 millimeters. Lucinda will pick up 1,000 millimeters of rainfall, pretty much guaranteed at this time. Same deal with Halifax. Ingham can be expecting up to about 800 to 900 millimeters of rainfall. I think just considering the fact that there are mountains directly to the north of Ingham, I reckon they might receive slightly less rainfall because they will be slightly protected by those mountains there. But considering the fact I'm expecting the Herbert River, which flows through Ingham, to experience major flooding, we're going to have brief periods of brown ocean effect, which is where there's going to be so much water and so much moisture in the ground and over the top of the ground that the convection can keep firing up along these river deltas here into Ingham, and then further south as you get further inland out towards Tubana. We'll be seeing rainfall wrung dry by these mountains here, and isolated spot falls outside of Ingham expected to be well in excess of 1,000 millimeters. Further south towards Bambaroo, we're expecting rainfall accumulations there to begin piping up into what I call the serious, the kind of black zone through here, where we'll be talking about 1,200 to 1,300 millimeters of rainfall, and that's not the highest possible amount of rainfall. That's kind of what we're expecting at this time. Anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 millimeters expected around Bambaroo down towards Townsville, especially for the mountains adjacent to the coastline here. Outside of Rollingston, these mountains through here could be seeing falls up towards 1,000 to 1,500 millimeters, with the highest falls possible now at around that 1,500 millimeter mark. Palm Island also expecting about 1,200 millimeters as well. Townsville, I'm going to say a maximum of about 1,100 millimeters is possible. I reckon the most amount of rainfall that they're going to end up seeing is about 950 millimeters or so, but anywhere between 650 to 950 millimeters on just this weekend alone looks possible for Townsville, with a little bit more rainfall coming through Monday morning and then again from showers and storms through Tuesday and Wednesday. Some of the southern suburbs around Townsville, especially as you get backed up towards the Mount Stewart area along the Ross River, especially as you get out towards Lake Ross, I'm expecting rainfall accumulations out here adjacent to the Pinnacles National Park to be 1,500 millimeters, pretty much a guarantee, to be honest here. So I reckon about 40 to 50% more rainfall will fall out in this general area here outside of Townsville as opposed to the Townsville metro area, and regardless of what rainfall does fall, I'm expecting major flooding throughout the Ross River. I'm expecting that to reach either near record or record levels since 2019, and in fact they could exceed the 2019 levels around the Townsville area. So I'm expecting either near record or record flooding around the Townsville area as well. I'm going to get to the flooding risks and the flooding impacts in a later part of this forecast update. Down towards Giru and areas where the peak of the rainfall should begin to ease off, I still expect 1,000 millimeters around Giru, and then down towards Ayr I'm expecting at least 800 or 900 millimeters, and considering its proximity to the Burkerdon River, I'm expecting rainfall accumulations there to be a real problem for flooding. I do expect the Burkerdon River, I hope I'm saying it correctly, to approach the major flooding alert and possibly be at its highest flooding alert it's in the last 10 years or even since records began. I expect there to be major flooding around the Ayr area. Ayr itself should pick up at least 600 millimeters and possibly up to 1,000 millimeters there. Inland, Charters Towers and Ravenswood, I'm expecting at least 400 millimeters apiece there, and potentially a little bit more charters towers could see anywhere up to 800 millimeters. Further down the coastline through the Bowen area, you can see rainfall accumulations there will begin to drop off, but I still expect about 500 millimeters for Bowen. Proserpine will pick up substantially more rainfall around the Proserpine River catchment as well. I'm expecting some major flooding problems for the Proserpine River. Proserpine itself, I don't see a world where that picks up less than 650 or 700 millimeters, with isolated pockets around Proserpine and in the hills adjacent to Proserpine up to 1,000 millimeters also possible. Not reciprocated on this forecast model, however, but that's going to be coming through from the showers. They're going to be streaming through the Repulse Islands and through Halliday Bay from the southeast over the next 2 or 3 days, and then the rainfall that will pipe up there again on Tuesday and Wednesday, kind of a kick in the guts, kicking Proserpine while it's down. More rainfall expected there on next Tuesday and Wednesday, which is something not a lot of people are talking about, and that will tip those rainfall scales. They're up to about 1,000 millimeters around the Proserpine area. Hamilton Island should also pick up about 300 to 400 millimeters of rainfall. Halliday Bay about 300 millimeters. Mackay should get 200 millimeters, and out towards Gargett and Yalbury up to about 500 millimeters expected there. Further down the coastline, West Hill, Clairview, right down towards St. Lawrence, falls between 100 to 250 millimeters possible, and in the mountains adjacent to those communities, isolated falls up to about 450 millimeters are also possible out there. A lot of rainfall. There is so much rainfall to go around here up in far North Queensland. It's really starting to be quite concerning indeed, and I can't stress this enough. I mean, this is not a lot of not something that a lot of people want to be saying, considering it is borderline fear-mongering, and I absolutely do not want people to be fretting around this system here. It's imperative that you stay calm around a weather event like this, but this is going to be the wettest week in Townsville on record if they get 1,000 millimeters of rainfall. That's unheard of for the Townsville area. I mean, we are talking about the tropical North Queensland coastline, but 1,000 millimeters happening in 3 or 4 days, that's pretty much exclusive for the Cassowary Coast, and considering this is going to be happening now around the Townsville area, this is unheard of, the amount of rainfall that's going to be coming through here. And that's not even the worst of the rainfall. I mean, these forecast models here are throwing out numbers like 16 or 1,700 millimeters, and the only reason I'm not saying 16 or 1,700 millimeters, especially around the Rollingston area up towards Bamburru, is just because of precedence. This rainfall has never happened before. It's never been on a forecast model. It's never happened or fallen 1,700 millimeters in less than a week here across this part of central Queensland and North Queensland. So that's the reason why we're not actually calling for much more rainfall than that. I do expect a widespread swathe of this part of Queensland to pick up 1,200 millimeters of rainfall. I'm expecting multiple locations to get 1,500 millimeters of rainfall as well. And dare I say, peak rainfall accumulations, they're now a 50-50 chance of getting up to about 2,000 millimeters of rainfall. 2 meters of the stuff happening in a week has happened once before, and that's from Tropical Cyclone Jasper in 2023. And then since then it is unheard of around Australia, that type of rainfall, and it's going to be happening this week. So need I stress this enough, that the rainfall is going to be significant, it's going to be severe, and it's going to be the worst on record. If you have personal weather station data, then please don't be afraid to send it to me via email, or you can hit me up on Messenger as well. Follow the CyclonesOZ Facebook page. I'd be more than happy to take a look at it. I'm really keen to see the rainfall observations that some of these stations do pick up around the Townsville area. It is going to be significant, that's for sure. And like I said, unheard of and reciprocated between other forecast models as well. I mean, the GFS is a little bit hokey-pokey here, but the Access and the East Blue are neck and neck in terms of what rainfall they're calling for. The Access still does have that northerly bias, and that's what I have kind of included in this forecast, and that's why I'm saying around the Tully, Cardwell and Ingham area, they're still expecting huge rainfall accumulations, which is not exactly what the East Blue is saying here. But regardless, even if only 400 millimeters falls around Tully, the Tully River is going to have some major flooding problems and some major flooding concerns, just because it's already been flooded out over the past couple of days. So any rainfall on top of that is going to cause some really significant problems. Let's jump straight into that flooding risk here, and I'm going to take a look at a map that we've not looked at before on the CyclonesOZ channel, and this is just the picture around North Queensland here. So I would like to go around town by town, river by river. The Tully River and the Johnston Rivers are expecting minor flooding to occur here. I reckon around the Tully River they're going to get up towards the moderate flooding alert, and even the major flooding alert if they get up to about 500 millimeters of rainfall. From Cardwell and heading further south, Cardwell maybe not so much because they are a little bit more coastal based here. I don't actually expect Cardwell to receive significant flooding from this weather event here, but anywhere further south than that, these rivers are going to be flowing hard and they're going to be flowing fast. So the Herbert River, which starts up through here outside of Cardwell, that's going to be picking up rainfall rates in the catchment of between 600 and 800 millimeters of rainfall. So again, some really significant stuff there. Probably not enough to cause record flooding up here, but the Stone River is going to be picking up some stupid rainfall accumulations down here around these mountains. We're talking 1,200 to 1,500 millimeters with spot falls up to 2,000 millimeters, like I said, as we get further south from Bamburru. So these rainfall accumulations flowing into the Stone River will cause that Herbert River outside of Ingham to flood like you've never seen before around the Ingham area, and that's why we've been calling for such significant flooding around Ingham. Through Halifax and then down towards Lucinda, expecting near record or at record flooding. I do expect Halifax to receive some very significant losses from flooding, and the same deal with Lucinda as well, considering they are on that coastal delta and on a bit of a swampland through here in the Indigenous protected area, coupled with a storm surge that's going to come through, because this is going to behave a little bit like a tropical cyclone. Where the Herbert River does reach the coastline, expecting some major flooding through here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here, to say the least, especially around Lucinda and Halifax. I mean, I'm expecting some really significant losses from floodwaters through here, so if you live in a flood-prone area, I'd evacuate out to Ingham if it is safe to do so right now, which it most likely is. Depending on what showers are coming through here, of course, take extra care and take extra caution, but if you haven't evacuated already, then you're most likely going to be in the safe spot, considering the fact that evacuation orders, if they have been placed for Halifax and Lucinda, they would have covered the necessary areas already. But I mean, expect record rainfall, expect record flooding in the Halifax and the Lucinda area. They're no strangers to it up in this part of Queensland, but it will be record breaking. That's pretty much a guaranteed, that's for sure. Crystal Creek is one that I want to watch, that flows through Montagny as well. I'm expecting some really significant flooding through this area here, considering the fact that these mountains should all pick up at least 1,000 millimeters of rainfall, and possibly even much more than that, especially down towards some of the taller peaks. Mount Halifax, we'll be seeing some really big rainfall accumulations there. And then it's the Ross River and Lake Ross as you get up towards the mountainous areas here. The catchment for the Ross River is huge, and I'm expecting there to be some really significant flooding and some really significant rainfall observations as a result outside of Townsville. Mount Stewart will pick up some really significant rainfall observations as well, considering the fact that this is going to be coming in through the bay around the Townsville area, and you can see sliding between Magnetic Island, then across through Mount Cleveland, the rainfall sliding through here. It's just going to be wrung dry over Townsville and wrung dry over Mount Stewart. The clouds are, and as such, rainfall observations here out towards the Lake Ross catchment area should be in excess of 1,200 millimeters, pretty much guaranteed, and up to about 1,500 or 1,600 millimeters there. Townsville itself, somewhere between the 600 to 1,000 millimeter ballpark. I reckon Townsville will get close to the 1,000 millimeter ballpark, but again, considering their flat location here and the fact that Townsville does have that notorious rain dome, we do have to be a little bit conservative in our forecasts. Further south, the Horton River that runs through Gira, I'm expecting some major flooding in those areas here. All the catchments and the rivers that flow into the Horton River are expected to receive near record or record rainfall, especially the Reed River, which flows into the Giru area, expecting some massive rainfall accumulations there. The Burdekin River is a little bit of a wild card at this time, considering the fact that as you get further inland, especially out towards the Leichhardt range, the rainfall there isn't going to be as heavy, especially considering they are expected to be a little bit dry, but I'm still expecting some really significant flooding that will flow through air, mainly because of the rainfall that's going to materialize over the coastal plain here outside of Ayr and Home Hill. So we're going to have to watch this one very closely as well, and considering the Burdekin River, it doesn't take much to flood that. We'll have to take a very close look at the river levels there over the coming couple of days. Not expecting record flooding around the Ayr area, but it's certainly going to be kind of once a year or once every 5 years, and certainly the worst flooding since 2019 around the Ayr area. So we'll keep a very close eye on that as well. And then it's down towards the Proserpine River. That's another really significant flood prospect at this time, flowing through Proserpine. I mean, the showers that get themselves adjacent or backed up into the Proserpine area, especially around the ranges here, adjacent to Lake Proserpine, they see some massive rainfall accumulations from events like this, where the showers are just getting dragged up through this area, and that's what feeds the Proserpine River. So I'm expecting some really significant flash flooding there. And Proserpine River, the river there, that's a very significant chance of having rapid changes in the river levels from showers. So if you live close to the Proserpine River, it's imperative that you sandbag now and board up your house. Don't go near the Proserpine River. Don't be crossing it. Nothing like that at all, because over the next couple of days, starting from right now, there's some really significant possibilities that the Proserpine River has some dramatic changes, some big mood swings in terms of how much water is going to be flowing through there. Because of the showers, it will be rising rapidly, it will be dropping rapidly, the current will be flowing like you wouldn't believe around the Proserpine area. So again, make sure you are being very, very cautious around the Proserpine River. The most amount of rainfall is going to fall there since Tropical Cyclone Debbie of 8 years ago now. So keep a very close eye on the Proserpine River levels around there. And then the rivers that flow around into Mackay, not expecting too much in the way of significant rainfall there. The Pioneer River will flood, but it's not expected to be too significant in terms of how much rainfall is going to be flowing through there. And I don't actually see the high chance of flooding in the Mackay area, definitely nothing in the way of devastating flooding. Now, I do hope that this has helped, the kind of river by river, the town by town sort of annotation of how much rainfall is expected. I really do wish that I had kind of a pen that I could use to draw on these screens here. It'd be really helpful indeed. If you've got any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section down below. Just before I wrap this video up, I would like to briefly talk about the wind threat as well across North Queensland. I mean, Saturday night into Sunday morning, as this rainfall pipes itself up along the coastline, especially through Sunday, and this low pressure system is just inland, we're going to be seeing some pretty strong winds around around Magnetic Island, sustained at about gale force, so 64, 65 kilometres an hour through there. There's no weather observations on Magnetic Island, to my knowledge, that are run by the Bureau of Meteorology, so we're not going to have reliable observations there. But I definitely reckon around the Townsville area, it's going to feel like a tropical cyclone. Of course, this isn't expected to go tropical cyclone, but it is going to feel like a Category 1 strength system for locations between Cardwell down to about Ayr. Gusty winds, very heavy rainfall, slow moving. It will feel like a tropical cyclone, mark my words on that. Some pretty big waves as well expected to move in here, adjacent to the coinciding with the king tides as well, especially Sunday night, expecting wave heights to be up to about 2 or 3 metres offshore from Magnetic Island, and some big tides expected into the Townsville area and also across towards Lucinda as well. They are protected by Palm Island and the Hinchbrook Island, but again, some pretty significant coastal inundation is also expected there. And take a look at how warm those sea temperatures are as well, adjacent to the Queensland coastline. This is why so much evaporation and so much rainfall is expected, because the sea temperatures are just primed to present that moisture for these clouds to make the most of. And you can see 29 pushing 30 degrees through here. It is jet fuel stuff for this rainfall to make the most of. So this rainfall event really is going to be significant, that's for sure. I'm aware of how long this video has run for, and I do appreciate everybody staying tuned for this long. It's been a very long day producing content here as well on the Facebook and on the YouTube channel, so thank you so much for sticking around, and I also really do appreciate the support. But that is all from me today. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. Stay safe, and if you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to take a look at them, and also flick me a message over on Messenger or an email as well. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions over there. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.